The year is 1530. For 200 years, the Ashikaga shogunate has ruled Japan from their capital in Kyoto. The recent Onin War has shown that they no longer have the power to control Japan's great clans. The time has come for a new warrior to claim the title of shogun. Japan is divided between ruthless warlords. Armies grow stronger, only to be depleted in the frequent vicious battles that give this era its deserving name, Sengoku jidai, the age of the country at war. Year after year, the endless plains that divided the clan's territories are stained with the blood of thousands of brave samurai, fighting for their liege lord and for their honor. When necessary, accept help from others, not of our lands. Gaijin can be useful pawns in your campaign, as they bring guns from overseas. If they become a nuisance, they should be expelled from our shores, or even eliminated. When there is no other way, assassination can be instrumental in gaining victory. Even a general who is invincible in battle is as vulnerable as a child when asleep. Use the men of the shadows, for they excel in the deliverance of death by night. No one is untouchable. Honor is everything to samurai. A man who loses faith and his honor must then also lose his head. This is Bushido, the way of the warrior. Follow these rules of wisdom that have been handed down through generations, and your victory will be complete. Japan can be ruled completely by only one man, a great warrior, general, and strategist. To become shogun will require battles to be won with the mind as well as the sword. Now is your time. Let total war begin. My father, I was born with a sword in my hand. I will spend my life in battle with that sword, and I will die fighting or see my enemies dead before me. This has always been the way in my land. That was my father's way, and I honor his memory. Perhaps my son will honor mine. Once the shogun kept order in Japan, and the emperor cared for all of us under heaven. There was peace between the daimyo, the great lords that owned the land. But that was a lifetime ago. One day, a daimyo will come to save Japan and bring peace. But will I be the one? Will I see this come to pass? Lord Oda Nobunaga was a fortunate man. He was fortunate in battle, and fortunate in those who served him. His generals were loyal and skilled, but none was so than Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Hideyoshi was not a samurai, or born to a noble family. In this, he was unusual. He had risen from humble beginnings among the Ashigan, the peasant soldiers of the Oda clan. But he was an exceptional commander. He soon put his skills to good use, and led Oda armies to many famous victories. After the death of my lord Nobunaga, it was Toyotomi Hideyoshi who took revenge. Lord Nobunaga was a clever general. He took the European guns and used them like no one else in my land. Under his hand, his army was like a single sword, always ready to strike. Lord Nobunaga was also ruthless. He lived in ruthless times, but that was no excuse for some of what he did. His many enemies would have rejoiced to see his Oda clan crushed and powerless. In return, he crushed them and left his enemies dead and stripped off land, titles, and even honor itself. He was as cruel in victory as he was in battle. He fought to break his enemies, not just for the honor of winning a battle. He saw clearly unfettered by sentiment that one man could again be ruler of Japan. It just took ambition, limitless ambition. Some men have strange and fortunate lives. Fortune smiles on them, keeps them safe for some great purpose. Tokugawa Ieyasu, one of these. He was a hostage for his family's good behavior and survived. He became a great general, a loyal retainer, and an implacable foe. He ended his days the Shogun of Japan. He was a worthy shogun and a master of strategy, highly skilled in the arts of total war.
I am Kublai Khan, the Great Khan. My lands stretch from sunrise to sunset. I reach out my hand, and all men tremble. I ride with the horde at my back. We conquer everything before us. We attack. We conquer. We are fearless and unstoppable. From the far Danube to the heart of ancient China, we ride and no enemy is left alive. My warriors? Ha! There are none greater in all the world. And these samurai will stand against us. Us! They are fools and will die like fools. Their Japan will be mine. This I promise.
When the Mongols came to my land, many were afraid. We had heard tales of Kublai Khan, tales of his warriors, terrible stories. But to be afraid and do nothing because of tales told in the darkness was not the way. It is the way of the samurai to face an enemy and defeat him. So the samurai took up the sword and the bow. They faced the Mongols and drove them back into the sea, back to China. Their dead were numberless. Because of this, my land endures, Japan endures. Lord Nobunaga's victories made sure my land would one day have a single shogun as ruler. He did not take the title of shogun as his own, but he had all the power that he could ever have desired. At the end, his own skill as a daimyo made him one of the greatest samurai ever to have lived. One name will always be remembered in my land, Tokugawa Ieyasu. This was the man who finally became shogun. He brought an end to more than 100 years of bloody warfare. Brother would no longer kill brother. The land would know peace. His legacy was to recreate Japan as a country. He finally swept away the petty kingdoms of the daimyo and made one land in their place. His descendants ruled my land for another 250 years before our world changed again. The Tokugawa shoguns gave my land peace, but at a terrible price.
This day, his memory is honored, and his courage, his shrewdness, and his skill in battle are legend. With final victory secured, the dominance of our clan could not longer be disputed. Faced with our invincible armies, all Japan was forced to accept the supreme leadership of a single daimyo. The heritage of our clan supported the legitimacy of our noble lord to declare himself Sei Shogun, and thereby to found a dynasty which would determine the future of Japan and guarantee the immortality of our honor. There were some fools who did not accept the supremacy of the new shogun, but the battles which we fought to crush their insolence did not threaten our survival, as had the great battles of the past, but merely ensured that the skills of our samurai remained honed in the field of war. All the wealth of Japan flowed to the shogun, and he used it to raise mighty castles. The greatest of these was the fortress at Edo, which became the hub from which the shogun's power radiated to even the most distant provinces. Former rivals were obliged to march from every corner of Japan to subjugate themselves before the shogun. Every warrior was now under his direct control, and if any thought that the shogunate was repressive, then they were shrewd enough to keep these thoughts to themselves. All aspects of life were guided by the will and wisdom of the shogun. He encouraged the samurai to train in the arts of writing and painting, as well as the way of the warrior, while the emperor himself was freed from the distraction of day-to-day power. The order of society rested on strict enforcement of the social hierarchy. The peasants were reminded of their obligations at the point of a sword, and were soon convinced to settle into their jobs of growing, making, carrying, breeding, and paying taxes for the shogun. Once again, Japan became a land for the Japanese, and there was no longer any need for the foreigners' strange superstitions or their coward weapons, and they were not missed when the bamboo curtain descended. Under this firm hand, Japan was never again torn apart by ambitious and grasping rivals as it had been during the Sengoku jidai. United, the nation thrived, and the sons of the shogun continued to rule by obeying the traditions set down by our forefathers for hundreds of years.